Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Peace Talks. I know that's actually not what it's called this time around, it's actually Weekend of Peace, but it will always be Peace Talks. So, this actually probably will not be a very long vlog. Watch it be like a really stupidly long vlog now or something now that I've jinxed it. I don't think so though, because my plans is basically to reread the entire Murderbot Diary series. Is it because I've read them 4 times already? This will be number 5. There's not really much point of me, you know, constantly talking in full depth, and also like my review is just I love Murderbot so much. so yes, so we're probably not gonna have super detailed, but I'm not only going to be reading like that will be most of it, but like I'm gonna try, well, I've already read one other thing, and I'll try and read maybe like 2 or 3 others, you know, just a little something something. Obviously, so there's 7 Murderbot Diary books. Plan to read all of them on audiobook. I love the audios, and also I have the physical copies, so I'll probably like maybe do a mix of both because figure skating is on and I do want to watch that, so I might have that on in the background and like have Murderbot, or I might pick something else to read physically while that's on. Haven't really decided yet. So yes, then I don't really know what else. I have a good few audiobooks, but as I said, I need something either physical or ebook to read while figure skating is on, which is basically all of today. Well, no, it's from like 4 o'clock today onwards, so like that is a good bit of today. So yeah, so that's a bit. I've read quite a bit since I last spoke to you, and by that I mean I've read 4 Murderbot Diary novellas. I will say I wasn't feeling great today. Like the head and the throat, not good, and I was so cold. I had 2 blankets on top of me. I was curled in a ball. I just had my headphones in and my books out. I'm after putting them back on the shelf, so I'm not going getting them. Maybe I should go get them. No, I'm not gonna. I'm too lazy for that. So yeah, so it's just here. I was just vibing, me and my bestie Murderbot. As I said, I will not talk about these for long because I have spoken about them multiple times. I mean, here's the thing, is I like talking about books so much that people like start to like associate those things with me. Like, I always love that. That's so fun to me. Like, I feel like what's associated with me the most is Shades of Magic and Murderbot, which, you know what? That sounds good to me. I'm perfectly happy with that. So Murderbot follows a Murderbot. They have hacked their governor module, which means they are no longer under the company control, and so they are now a rogue unit. But instead of going on some sort of like mass killing spree or running away or anything like that, it spends all of its time watching media. And then something may be out to try and kill their clients, and so they have to stop watching all of their media and start actually doing its job. And so the first 4, I decided to read the first 4 kind of together today on the Saturday, in case that wasn't obvious, and then I think I'll read the other 3 tomorrow. I think those make up one arc, really. Like the first 4 follow, like obviously they all follow Murderbot, but they kind of all, I would say, connect more. So in the first one, like the first 3 are technically like they're different characters, and then the 4th one we bring back characters from book 1, but like book 3 especially, and also book 2 is like Murderbot, yes, is with different crews, but they still like in the back of their mind are thinking about the people from book 1 and like wanting to help with that situation and trying to find out more about what caused everything to go badly in that. Trying to be vague here. So yes, so like I always consider them kind of one full story, and like, well, yeah, obviously like those characters do show up again in 5, 6 and 7. Like the story arc, like this particular company is kind of over. Obviously still mentioned because, you know, a lot of stuff goes down. I will say it is primarily a character driven story. Like it is about Murderbot. You have to care about Murderbot, and you have to, I guess, you have to appreciate the character and like the humor and all of that that is involved. And I personally, I love it. It works really well for me. But as I said, with the amount of times I've reread it, I do actually really appreciate the like intricacies of the plot, because I remember like definitely the first time I definitely read it, I was like, character, absolutely brilliant. It was 100% character driven. I still do partly agree with that, but I definitely think I didn't pay nearly enough attention to the plot the first time around. But like the way that Martha Wells writes it, like she does such a brilliant job in like one paragraph. She makes you understand all of these side characters, like with just like one line about each of them. You're like, okay, so these are who they are. And like obviously as you go on you get more and more familiar with them, but just like so effortlessly and so quickly explaining all of the dynamics, really impressive. And then the other thing is, and yeah, and then like all of like the world building and all of that, like it really, like it took me a couple of reads I think to really appreciate just how much she packs in such a short amount of time, and it really is impressive, and I really do love this series. So yes, and I think, as I said, so for now I think I'm going to take a little break from Murderbot, and I think I'm actually going to read Thornhedge, I believe it is, by T. Kingfisher, which is her newest book. She's always releasing books. I actually have no idea if this is her newest. It's definitely one of the newer ones, and it is a short little fairy tale. And actually, I don't think I would have mentioned this in any vlog yet, or in a wrap up or anything, because it was this month, and I wasn't reading this book for a vlog. But basically, my history with T. Kingfisher is, I have read The Snow Queen retelling, Raven and the Reindeer. Is that it? I read that years ago. I read Bryony and Rose's, Nettle and Bone, and then I also read Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, and all of those were 3 stars or low 4 stars for me. And I kind of just was like, sometimes if an author is like a 4-star author for me, like for example Naomi Novik, I've given one of her books 5 stars. Every single other book, and I've read all of her books, have been 4 stars. And sometimes you need 4-star authors, just like someone you know you're gonna read them and you're gonna like their books. But I didn't like really like their books, like solid 4-star. Like I feel like the 4 stars that I gave probably should have been a 3-star. Because like I've definitely gotten harsher with my ratings in the past year, so I was probably a bit nice with some of the earlier ratings of her books. And so like for me, she was probably like more of a 3-star author, so I was just like, it's not worth it to only be reading books that I like but don't really have strong feelings for, so I gave up. But then on Audible like Plus, so like if you pay for Audible, you have like a couple of books that you can read for free without using a credit, and one of them is Sword Heart. And I needed an audiobook. I mean, I know I said I was never going to read another book because I just didn't see the need to, but like I'll put it on, and I loved that book. I love that book. I gave it 5 stars. It was my first 5-star of the year, and so now I'm like, well, maybe I'm not gonna not read T. Kingfisher. Still like unsure. Like there's kind of things I want to test out, because like I've never, like even on her website, like she has it split into adults and kids, which I'm not interested in her kids books obviously, but in adult she then has it split up into 3 sections. So she has horror, fantasy, and then fantasy romance. And so all of the books that I've previously read she has in fantasy, even though a lot of them I would consider still have like pretty strong romantic plots. Like I mean, Bryony and Rose is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and The Raven and the Reindeer also has one. Definitely not like as strong as Sword Heart, but like still like a significant one. And so like, so all 4 of the ones I have read were in her fantasy section, and Sword Heart was in her fantasy romance section. So I definitely want to read probably all of the books, because they're all technically within the same world. I was really intrigued by the world. This is a way longer update than I thought it would be, but anyway. So there's the Clockwork Boys. This is the first book anyway. That's a duology, and then there's the Paladins series, which starts with like the Paladin's Grace. And that's 4 books, but I think it's going to be 7. And so like I think I will at least try most of them. I'll definitely like try the first book in each series anyway. And then I want to maybe try one of her horrors just to see, like, I don't read horror often, but I'm trying to occasionally branch out. So I do want to, like, try maybe one or two of hers. And then, as I said, Thornhedge, I think, is also included in our fantasy section. So I'm kind of using this nearly, like, yeah, it's a novella, and I don't love novellas a lot of the time, but I'm kind of, like, just seeing, you know, is it maybe just her, like, straight up fantasy? Doesn't work for me. So we'll see. I read Thornhedge and I gave it 3 stars. So yeah, I'm not sure does this prove anything. Like, as I said, I'm still definitely want to try some of her horror books, and I want to continue reading what she has marketed as fantasy romance. But maybe her ones that she's marketing as fantasy, not for me. Because, like, they're basically all 3 stars. But then also there is one part of me that's like, well, I've already read like 6 of her books. Might as well just keep going and rank them. But, like, she has so many books. Don't do that, Rebecca. Why would you do that? But also, I suppose I should tell you more than just 3 stars. Rant about everything except the actual book itself. So Thornhedge, it follows Totaling. And basically there is a maiden in the tower. And she is not the maiden. She is able to, like, shape change into a toad, and she is watching over this tower, and night comes along, and he is trying to get into the tower, and he starts talking to her and really revealing the truth of all that is going on in this tower. And as I said, like, it was okay. I liked it, but it, you know, not going to stay with me, didn't blow me away or anything like that. It was grand. In fairness, it is only like 150 pages. That is hard. Yeah, it's just hard to get really attached or really love the story, and I just, personally for me, it just didn't really work. Like, I think, like, it was trying to say a lot about, like, loneliness and, like, found family. I just didn't really care that much, and I think it was too short to, like, really, like, dive deep into those. But, like, it was intriguing. I think it was a really cool premise. Maybe if it was just, like, 50, 75 pages longer, just to, like, really get to know the character, like, Totaling and the Knight, because I just feel like we didn't really get the 2 of them, and we didn't really get a lot of the 2 of them together, really, and just, like, a little bit more of that. I was intrigued by, like, the world and the fairies and all of that, and, like, how all of that, but, like, as I said, it's just because it's so short, I just feel like, you know, everything was, like, held back. Like, I was intrigued. Like, I was intrigued by the characters, but I didn't get enough. I was intrigued by the world, but I didn't get enough. Like, all of that. So, yeah, so that's basically it. Like, it was good. Wasn't great or anything like that. And so, up next, I'm also reading another novella. And I'm reading, oh, what is it? Princess Florinda? No, Florinda? Florinda. And, like, the 40 Flight Tower or whatever. It's a really long name. It's by Tamsin Muir. And immediately, like, already very much, like, the tone, like, kind of like that, like, lighthearted tone that she has with Kitty in the Ninth. I imagine it's not going to be quite as dark as Kitty in the Ninth, but still very much, like, the same kind of, like, tone. But we'll see. So, yeah. So, we're on to book 7. Novella number 7, really, but yay. I was starting Princess Florinda and the 40 Flight Tower, or something like that. It's a really long name. Don't blame me for forgetting it. And I read that last night. I gave it a 3 stars. I will say it could have been a bit of a me problem because I was starting to get tired and I did keep zoning out. So, like, yeah, it could be me and not the book. But basically it is a novella. I think it's about 200 pages. And it follows a princess who has been put in this tower, and it has 40 flights with different challenges on it, and the whole purpose of this is because a prince will have to come along and fight the way up, but the princes keep coming and they keep dying. Leaves our princess one day to just end up deciding that she's going to take matters into her own hand and get down the tower by herself. And yeah, like, I liked it. Again, 3 stars. It's okay, it's good. I do think that I do like Tamsin Muir's writing style, and I think it definitely has like that charm and humor that like Gideon the Ninth, slightly less dark, but even then there was still some like kind of gory moments in here. But I do really enjoy her writing style. And then like, I guess my main thing is I just didn't really care about the plot and like the kind of like nearly romance that was going on. I just didn't really care about that stuff. I liked the premise, but the delivery didn't really do anything. As I said, the romance just like, I just kind of didn't understand it. What really did give me the enjoyment was the writing style, and also kind of linked to the writing style is like the jokey way they talked about like all of like the princess tropes and like the fairy tropes and the witch tropes and all of that kind of stuff. Like just like the way that like she kind of like, you know, it's kind of like mocking them. I enjoyed that. What have I done this morning? Oh yeah, this morning I read Network Effect by Martha Wells, so that is the full-length novel, so that'll give me a lot of points, which is nice. I have nothing to say about it. I love Murderbot. The end. So yeah, so now I'm on to Fugitive Telemetry, and then I'll also read System Collapse, and I'll probably try and squeeze something else. I should be able to squeeze something else in, because I mean, with the speed I listen to things, I think I have an hour left of Fugitive Telemetry. I think System Collapse is a bit longer, so that might be like 2.5, and so that'll bring me to like 3 or 4 o'clock, so I'll still have until 11 my time. I might probably read an ebook because I have some things that I want to watch, so just to have like something to read while in the background, but we'll see. So yeah, that's all. 2.5 hours to go. Yes, I can do maths. 2.5 hours left. So last I spoke to you, I believe I was just after finishing Network Effect. Maybe? Yeah. I gave that 5 stars, obviously. This is not a surprise. And then I read Fugitive Telemetry, gave that 5 stars. And then I read System Collapse, I gave that 5 stars. No surprises here. I will say, I think I like System Collapse more this time than I did the first time around, because obviously that is the newest one. That one came out end of last year, November, I think. So like, honestly, this is only my second time reading that one, whereas it's like my 5th for all the other ones. It still probably is one of the weakest ones in my opinion, but like, I definitely enjoyed it more this time around. I decided to set myself a challenge for some reason, for my last book, because I'm reading The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst, which is a 420 page book. I've been reading novellas, except for Network Effect, which is 350 pages. I've been reading novellas all weekend, and I was like, for my last book, with like 6 hours left, not even, it was probably 5, no, 6 hours, yeah, with 6 hours left, and that's not including like me having to do bits and pieces, I'm gonna read a full-length novel. Like, it is YA, so it's a quick read, and I am halfway through, and 2.5 hours, so I'll get it done, but like, I'm really leaving it to be close. So this is the sequel to The Queen of Blood. I can't remember the name of it, but here's the thing, I don't read a lot of YA anymore. I gave that first book 3 stars, and so without kind of a push to read it, I was probably never going to like continue it. So I decided I'm gonna do it this weekend, because I didn't want to read any more novellas. I was fed up of novellas. And I wanted to read, but I did want to still fit in one more book. So like, looking through like the list of like, obviously like the books on my physical TBR, like none of them are audiobooks. I also just wanted an ebook. I don't want to listen to anything. So like, all of these, they're all physical books, but they're all like 500-600 page epic fantasy. Like, I'm not reading that in like 5 hours. That's not happening. Like, I'm fast, I'm not that fast. I've been starting a lot of series, and I don't want to be doing that so much, so I just kind of like was looking through like my series tracker and stuff like that for books that, you know, I'm in the middle of, and I was like, well, I don't read a lot of YA are quick, and I remember reading the first book real quick. So I was like, this is the best option for like a quick, snappy read. So, and I think I'm liking it more than I liked the first book. I'm finding it a little repetitive because like it feels like a lot of the same scenes over and over again. But I think now that we're like getting to like the climax, I think maybe I'll start to, you know, things will start to change. It's still feeling either high 3-star, low 4-star. We'll see. It has been a while. Okay, it hasn't been that long. It's been like 3 days. So, I'm here to finish this up. So, there's a couple of things to talk about. Number one, just like wrap this all up in general. Number two, I never told you about the first book I read. I read The Citron Key. It was the first book I read. I never even mentioned it by name. In the very first clip, I do mention that I've read a book. Like, I talk about a book in past tense, but I never say anything else. It was early in the morning, so you can't give that to me. But yeah, I was editing it and I was like, girl, you not gonna talk about that? And then number two, I'm gonna finish talking about The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Durst. I did finish it, so yeah. So I suppose, what should I talk about first? I'll talk about The Reluctant Queen. Overall, I liked it. I think I liked it more than the first book in the end. I did and I didn't. I think I liked different things about both of them. I think overall, probably my enjoyment is higher, but it was still a 3-star. This series, it's just not really one that's working for me. As I said, I am growing out of YA, so like I don't really connect to those stories as much, but I will say this is, I would say, at some points definitely upper YA, because in the first book, what I really liked about the first book was like it was quite dark for YA. Like some of the deaths were more terrifying than stuff that I read in adult fantasy. So like I can definitely go there. And then in this book, actually one of the protagonists is like obviously our main character from the first book, but then we also get this other woman, and she is, it never says her age, but she's an adult. She has 2 kids. I think one's like, they're like 8 and 5 or something like that. So like obviously it's never said her exact age, but like late 20s, 30s. So like she is like an adult woman, and she is one of the main protagonists. So so we definitely get some like more mature stuff in this series, which I do think I like. And I think for like maybe, you know, teens, you know, 17, 18 that are like aging out of it, I think this could be a really good series. But I just think there's things that are holding me back. Like in the first story, I know that like I wanted the story to go a particular way, and then it didn't go that way. And then in this one, it also kind of takes a turn, because basically a character kind of comes back from the first book, and like there's been no mention of what this character has been up to, and then all of a sudden this character is a big deal again and is like causing problems. And so it's just like, wait, what when did this happen? I like things, but nothing really, but I'm not in love with any of it. I think it has some really good ideas, and I think that especially for a YA, I think it does some interesting things and does some things that maybe aren't seen as much in YA. But that doesn't mean I love it. That doesn't mean it works and connects with me. But it is a fast read, and overall it is solid. So 3 stars. My first book of the readathon was Citron Key by Ellen McRae, and this is the novella that goes along with The Iron Crown and The Shadow Key. Those were, I think, the first 2 books that I read this month, and I love them both. They are like such high 4 stars. I did debate giving them a 5-star, but I couldn't really tell them apart, and I was like, one of them is definitely 4-star, but I'm not sure which one. So I just give them both really high 4 stars, and I really like this series. And I believe the novella was actually released first, and I'm not sure would it have done better or worse for me if I had read it before I read the others, but I kept it for our peace talks. And because like here's the thing, you don't need to know this and understand like what happened in this, because it's all explained in the first book. And so like on the one hand I'm like, well maybe, because I remember when the character of this novella, Apollo, is introduced in the first book, I didn't really like him. He's still not my favorite perspective, but when he like appeared again, I was just like, get back to the characters I already care, because it's a decent bit in when he's introduced again. And so I was just like, where are my characters that I already love? Like, I guess if I had already read this first, then I might have been more excited. But also I could definitely see if I read this first, then like maybe like hearing about this thing might have been repetitive. So I don't know which way it would work. If it would, you would prefer it either way. But overall, I am glad I read it just so I can like the little details, like you understand like in general what happened. And overall, I like her writing. I like her characters. But like it's a novella. As I said, maybe I did myself a disservice because I was like, okay, well, I know all of what is happening here because I've read it already. So yeah, and yeah, so yes, so I read a lot of books. I actually can't even count. I think 11. Most of them were novellas, and I think it was like 2,317 pages, which is a lot. So yes, so overall, it was a good weekend. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.